And our second of two commissioner races, Geauga County Commissioner term commencing January 2nd, 2025. We have Carolyn Brakey and Walter Claypool here today. Thank you both for being here. And Mr. Claypool, I'm going to start with you for your 3-minute opening remarks. You're more than welcome to do them from your table there. You're more than welcome to come to the podium, whatever you'd prefer. And we'll start as soon as you start. Thank you. Yeah.
My throat's a little raw, so I apologize. Hello, everyone. Thank you, League of Women Voters, for hosting this. It's always fun, and I enjoy it. My name's Skip Claypool, and I'm running for Geauga County Commissioner. Campaigning often looks like a popularity contest, but it really shouldn't be. It should be more of a job interview, I think, and that was already mentioned. Nancy, you're right. Shouldn't we pick the most qualified candidate? Based on the criteria, I think I'm the most qualified candidate, and I'll tell you 3 reasons why that is. First of all, I'm the most experienced. I was a business executive for decades. I was a county commissioner. I was a township trustee. I've served on several county boards. I literally could walk into the county commissioner office tomorrow and be functional. As a commissioner, along with Mr. Spitaleri and Mr. Lennon, we did not raise taxes. We paid off the county debt. We dealt with a number of complex issues. I worked hard to improve Geauga County during my term. I drafted a concept plan, I think Mr. Spitaleri will agree with this, to centralize the county offices and for the recycling center. I presented those to Mr. Spitaleri and to Mr. Lennon. They accepted the plans, we moved those forward. And today they've been built. Both I think are delivering value to the county. I would like to have been involved with the implementation because I think it could have added value to the cost and the implementation process. As a commissioner, I was a budget hawk. I asked a lot of questions. People didn't like that. And I worked hard to ensure that the tax dollars were spent effectively. I don't think we have enough scrutiny on our taxes, or on our budgeting. Excuse me. This is a Republican primary. This is number 2. Republicans have subscribed to a certain set of values. I believe Republican candidates should prove that they align with those Republican platform and values. I have the strongest credentials, Republican-wise, in this race. I voted in every primary over the last 20 years as a Republican, and I worked hard for candidates during each of those sessions. I want to thank Mr. Dvorak for handing out the proof that I've voted for about 30 years now as a Republican, and so and then there's no proof of that. So, without a doubt, I am the strongest Republican candidate in this race. After the 2008 election, I decided to get more involved with politics. So I began doing a lot of research. There's very few people in this room that do as much homework as I do, for a variety of reasons. How many of you know about the Senate Select Committee on Fair Housing, which is talking about overriding our zoning? That was a discussion in the Planning Commission meeting. NOACA is trying to create a climate action plan that's going to change our lives. I'm experienced, I have the right values, I'm passionate about Geauga County, and I'm the best candidate for commissioner in this race. I had to cut some things out.
I'm sorry. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Should we accept?
Oh, you're right.
How do I turn this on?
Just hold the button. Yep, that's it.
Green?
Yep.
That's good. Okay.
That's good.
Should we accept government taking more of our paychecks without delivering more to the people? Should we accept government treating parents as non-essential in the health and education decisions of their own children? Should we accept political infighting, FBI raids, corruption charges, and politicians who create problems instead of fixing them? I'm Carolyn Brakey, and I'm running for Geauga County Commissioner because I think we can do better. I think we can defend freedoms, protect paychecks, and defeat dysfunction in Geauga County. So a little bit about me. I'm a wife. I'm a mom to 8-year-old twins who better be in bed right now. And I'm an attorney with an undergraduate degree in mechanical engineering. My husband and I were entrepreneurs, and we run several businesses in this county related to energy, including Brakey Energy, which my father-in-law started in '99 to serve manufacturers in Middlefield. I'm also the current president of the Board of Health. And when it comes to your paychecks, I believe that government exists to serve the people, not the other way around. And many of our residents right now, they're struggling just to fill their gas tanks and their grocery carts, and taxes continue to increase. But I think your money belongs in your pockets, and I want to fight to return it to you. Concerning your freedoms, I believe government has a duty to protect our God-given rights of life, liberty, property. That's why I stepped up to serve on the Board of Health in the first place. When children were forcibly masked, I fought to defend parental rights and end mask mandates in Geauga County schools. Our guidance was the first of its kind in the state, and it triggered this domino effect of freedom across Ohio. And then finally, regarding dysfunction in government, I've tackled challenges in my current role, many thought insurmountable, reforming Geauga Public Health into a department built on efficiency and on restraint. And I'm ready to bring the same problem solving to defeat dysfunction in county government. I know conflict, it's not accomplishment. And contrarianism, it's not conservatism. For the last year, I focused on preparing for the job, meeting voters, which ranges from attending weekly commissioner meetings to informal community events. And while I have a microphone in front of me right now, I've actually done far more listening than I have speaking. And that's what I've built this campaign on, not on a personal agenda or some grudge, but on feedback from good people who call our county home. And I will continue to collaborate with anyone who wants to help Geauga become an even better place to live, to work, and to raise a family. I'm Carolyn Brakey, and it would be a great privilege to be your next county commissioner. I'd be honored to earn your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Again, we have lots of questions from the audience, and Ms. Brakey, I'm going to start with you. What actions will you take to ensure Geauga County is a desirable place, both a desirable and affordable place to live? So I'll say that again since I stumbled a little bit. What actions will you take to ensure that Geauga County is both a desirable and affordable place to live?
So I think of Ronald Reagan's famous quote, when it comes to how should government intervene in situations like that, right? Which is, he says the most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. And so I think what makes Geauga a great place has nothing to do with government. It has to do with the people that live here. We live in a community built on trust, where people can put eggs out in front of their house and they're not worried about you stealing them or stealing the money. And I think it's a beautiful place to live. So I think that's what makes it a desirable place. As far as affordable is, that's a tax issue, right? And that's just keeping taxes low. So I think any sort of government program that tries to make things better, that's not my thing. I think that tends to take away what makes Geauga great already.
Thank you. Mr. Claypool, what actions will you take to ensure Geauga County is both a desirable and affordable place to live?
So, to a large extent, I agree with Carolyn with this difference. There are things that we can do to ensure that Geauga County is a great place to live. It is a great place to live. I chose to live here. I didn't have to live here. I could have lived any place in the region. But my wife and I years ago looked at Geauga County and said, this is where we want to live. It's the right people, it's the right values, it's a rural community. I grew up in a rural community. But there are forces outside of our county that are trying to change our county. The Senate Select Committee that I referenced is an organization or an effort actually at the state level to change how we live. They want to overturn our ability to control our own zoning. We have NOACA who's creating a climate action plan whose aim is to change the way we live. As government within the Commissioner's office, we have the ability to change some of those outcomes. We place people on the Geauga County Planning Commission who develops plans and a county plan and a template for
Thank you.
things.
Thank you. I know.
There's not enough time.
There is not enough time, but our community members also want to get home and, you know, do what they have to do. So thank you for that. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Claypool, for this next question. Commissioners have appointment authority for many boards and commissions in the county. Would you support a clearly communicated process for appointments, and what would that look like?
So, as Mr. Spitaleri said, I actually agree with him. The Commissioner's Office has always been pretty good at this. The challenge gets to be people, the available people who are interested in serving on whatever the committee happens to be. So there is a process, it gets posted, we identify to the community through the newspaper or through verbal communications and so on and so forth, the availability of those positions. But something that everybody needs to keep in mind, each of those positions have a unique, you don't just put anybody on a particular position, because there are outcomes that you have to monitor and make sure that these committees are producing a quality output. The Planning Commission, for example, you want to make sure that people on that Planning Commission understand something about planning, they understand something about zoning, they live in the community, they understand what their community is all about, what the culture is all about, and so on and so forth. So there's various factors that are considered, but the county's been very good at that, I believe. It was when I was in there, and I think it continues to be good.
Thank you. Perfect time. Ms. Brakey.
So I can compare what I've seen so far attending commissioners' meetings for the past year versus the appointment process I went through for the Board of Health. So there is an open seat right now on the Board of Health if anyone is interested in applying. And the process for that is you submit a resume, you submit a cover letter, you do an interview with a select committee, and then you go in front of what's called the Health District Advisory Council, one township trustee, one commissioner, or one trustee from each township, one the mayor, and then one commissioner. And you do an interview, do a presentation. It's very open to the public. The deliberation is open to the public, so you can hear why they choose who they choose. And so I've just heard, I think the Board of Mental Health had a open seat since I've been going the past year, and it was just a few names were thrown out, there was a motion, and that was it. And so I personally would like to see a little more transparency on that process.
Thank you very much. I'm going to direct this question to you first, Ms. Brakey. Can you describe the advantages and or disadvantages of Geauga County belonging to NOACA?
Oh, I feel like Mr. Claypool should have gotten this one first. This is his thing. So disadvantages, I'll go first. So the disadvantages is I feel like Geauga County is in a bit of a shotgun wedding with Cuyahoga and the city of Cleveland, in which we kind of have to play nice, and we get these woke policies shoved down our throats in order for us to try to claw back some of our tax dollars. And so that's the biggest disadvantage, which is a big disadvantage. However, we have to be part of some sort of MPO or metropolitan planning organization in order to get back our gas tax for infrastructure. So there is an economy of scale in having an organization the size of NOACA, and then those costs can be spread out among the member counties.
Thank you very much. Mr. Claypool. I could repeat the question. Can you describe some of the advantages and or disadvantages of Geauga County belonging to NOACA?
So I got about an hour
Yeah.
that I want to talk to you about.
Still only get a minute.
But let me just say this: there is no advantage of being in NOACA. There's a requirement. There's nobody in this room that knows NOACA better than I do. There is no advantage. There would be an advantage, however, if we formed an MPO with Lake County. If we formed a Lake County MPO, which is permissible under the law, 23 CFR 405, I think it is. We would go through a process, and we would control the tax dollars. It's the 18.5 cents a gallon tax dollars that come back to us, and we would be in control of our destiny. Right now, the big disadvantages are NOACA is way off the reservation. There are a council on governments, and that council on governments just gets to decide whatever it wants to do. So it's creating a climate action plan, it's creating a regional-wide land use plan, it's creating a transportation plan, all of which are urban-based, not rural-based, and so it's a real disadvantage to us.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Claypool, I'm going to start with you for this one.
I'll give this one to Carol.
I get to pick. So you get to go first. Geauga County has cost-sharing agreements with other counties for public health, public transit, juvenile detention, and waste management. As Mr. Spitaleri pointed out, some of these are newer arrangements, but even with that, how would or should we be measuring the effectiveness of these arrangements, and how do we communicate the effectiveness to the public?
So first of all, you can't bundle them all together. They're all different creatures. So the Portage County Juvenile Detention Center is already measured. There's a whole set of metrics that are used to determine its effectiveness. And there's two boards that get together, Portage County and Geauga County, to take a look at that all the time. And so same thing with the Waste Management District. The Waste Management District works really well together. And there's metrics which are actually state governed that determine what the outcomes are. With the new Lake County agreement, we have no idea what the performance on that's going to be. It's too new, and I've got a lot of questions. I'm not a big happy about that agreement. I've not made any bones about that for a variety of reasons. But you can't take all of these organizations into and bundle them up in the same pile, because each of them are unique and need to be measured, and the outcomes have to be determined separately. So, I mean, I would take each of those organizations, and we could talk about the current metrics and how they could be measured, but we don't have enough time, and I'm out of time.
Thank you. Ms. Brakey?
Can I hear the question?
Yeah, of course. Geauga County has cost-sharing agreements and waste management. Some of them are newer than others, but how would or should we be measuring the effectiveness of these arrangements, and how should this data be communicated to the county residents?
So I think what we should look at is we should look at Geauga's sovereignty. We should be looking at what the savings are. We should be looking at what the benefits are, including opportunities for grants. And so I can kind of go through for you how we made this decision with the Board of Health to enter a cooperative agreement with Lake. So we were looking at a looming budget shortfall, and we basically had three choices, because one of those choices was not do nothing. So what we could have done was we could have raised taxes, and if you know me, that's an absolute no-go, especially as a first step. The second option would have been to do a full merger, like what happened with Geauga Transit and Lake Transit. This is a full merger of boards, a full merger of assets, and that loses Geauga's sovereignty. So what we did with the Board of Health is a cost savings arrangement where we were saving sharing upper management personnel, and this has already cost taxpayers $500,000 in the first 9 months.
Thank you.
Can we come back and have a debate on that particular issue?
Well, not tonight.
I gotta go home. I'm like,
Yeah.
This is my jamming time.
You can
so.
arrange it and send out invitations. Okay, Ms. Brakey, this question will go to you. Can you share what strengths you bring to build effective relationships with fellow commissioners, other county officials, county agencies, and staff?
So I've been campaigning for almost a year now, and so I am a marathon runner, so I know how to pace myself, and I can see the finish line right now. And over that past year, I've built a lot of relationships. I've had a lot of meetings. I've met with county department heads. I've had a lot of productive conversations there. I think I have every county official's number in my cell phone, and I see many of them right now, and if I call them or text them, they pick up the phone, which I think is important for relationships. I've also had a lot of meetings just with nonprofit leaders in our county and some of our major business leaders, and just asking them questions about what they want to see different in county government. And I've just, as I mentioned in my 3 minutes, I've been listening a lot, and I've been building a lot of relationships, and so I think that's going to be an asset when I enter the commissioner's office.
Thank you very much. Do you want the question repeated, Mr. Claypool?
Yes.
Okay. What strengths do you bring to build effective relationships with fellow commissioners, other county officials, county agencies, and staff?
Well, first of all, I've already got a relationship with the county commissioner's office and with many of the staff in the county commissioner's office. They used to work for me, and so I know them well, and we get along pretty well. Same thing with county offices. I haven't worked with the auditor or prosecutor or other county offices for quite some time, but my practice, generally speaking, and I have a history of this, is being able to work with people in a professional manner well. I did that in the trustee's office, I did that in the county commissioner's office, I did that in my professional life. And so I think I've got a track record of that, and so that speaks for itself.
Thank you. Okay, we're in the home stretch. Final question. And Mr. Claypool, I'll give you first crack at it. If Geauga County was granted federal or state funds earmarked for environmental projects such as clean water initiatives, what would be your response?
Well, that is a really ambiguous question, because it gives no details.
I just read what the-
As
what
Ralph
they
was
give.
saying, there is no right answer to this, because you have to read what the grant requirements are, and those grant requirements will stipulate or dictate whether it's an acceptable grant or not, because there are strings attached, and you don't want to walk into a blind alley with the federal government, because they have stipulations on paybacks. The COVID dollars that the county received, that the townships received, had very specific, very onerous requirements inside of them, and if you didn't follow the letter of the law, you could quickly get yourself into a legal pickle where you're going to have to pay them back all that money. So you have to be very, very careful when you're taking any kind of grants from any organization, federal government, state government, and so forth. So, you know, without details, it's an impossible question to answer.
Thank you. Ms. Brakey?
Yeah, I don't have that much to add to that question. I think we pay a lot of taxes here in Geauga, federal, state, local, and I want to claw back as much of that as I can. I think it belongs in our pockets, not in the federal government, not with our state government. I think it belongs here in Geauga County. But I mean, I understand what Mr. Spitarelli is saying, what Mr. Claypool is saying as well, is that there are strings attached, and I'm certainly concerned, you know, whenever you build something, you start a program, there's nothing more permanent, right, than a temporary government program. So I do have concerns about maintaining something that's created by a grant or so forth, but there are issues with clean water in our county. We saw that with Parkman with the salt contamination, and I think that's an utmost importance to people. I believe in small government through and through, but folks should be able to drink clean water.
Thank you. Ms. Brakey, Mr. Claypool, thank you both so much for being here with us today, for answering questions from the public.